Hello everyone, I'm Shadow's Rain and you are awesome, and today, as the title suggests, we are going to be comparing Modern Warfare to Cold War. And it is worth noting that we are going to be talking about the multiplayer aspects, as we can't really judge Warzone as it's not been released on Cold War yet. So if you do like the video, make sure you hit that like button below, and if you are new here, please consider subscribing, helps us out massively. But let's get right into the video. So we'll start with gameplay, just basic gameplay. How does the game feel? How does the game play, and how does it go on? So in terms of Modern Warfare, it's quite a realistic shooter. You know, you've got the actual realistic gunplay, you've got obviously your grenades, your explosives, you've got the usual objective game modes like Hardpoint, Domination, Headquarters, Team Deathmatch, and a few others. You'll find that the Cold War seems to have much of the same game modes, and it will likely have some of those that are still in Modern Warfare, such as Capture the Flag, because every COD game has Capture the Flag. But yeah, so on that basis, they both play well for what they're trying to achieve. The Call of Duty Modern Warfare goes for the more realistic approach, whereas Cold War feels a bit more arcadey, it feels a bit more like a cartoon shooter, a bit like the more traditional Call of Duties, and especially more traditional Treyarch Call of Duty games as well. So this one is down to a matter of preference, but I think that Modern Warfare did become popular again and made COD relevant again because of the photorealism it has. So yeah, I don't find as many people camping in Cold War though, which is nice. This is because you've got the field mic option, you've also got a lot of perks that can help deal with it, and also perks that don't work if you're camping as well, such as ghosts. So it is a hard one, but I am going to give the slight edge to Modern Warfare in terms of gameplay. Now, I'm only saying that because there is ways that you can deal with campers in Modern Warfare. It's just not a lot of people have the patience to actually deal with it. And to be honest, like if you play a lot of Domination, you play a lot of Hardpoint, you don't actually find too many campers anyway. So it is based on the game mode. Obviously, you're going to find a lot more campers playing games like Capture the Flag and Team Deathmatch. So yeah, but there is ways that you can fix that. You can use snapshot grenades. You can use heartbeat sensors. There is ways that you can get around it. Next, we're going to be talking about weapons. The weapons. This is an easy one. Based on the weapons that I've seen in Cold War, I've got to give the weapons advantage to Modern Warfare. There's a lot more variation. There's a lot more attachments that you can put on there. Obviously, that's helped by the time period it's set in. But the actual guns feel better in Modern Warfare. They've actually, like, an AK actually feels like an AK in Modern Warfare, as opposed to its counterpart in Cold War, which again just feels a bit archaic, you know. And the weapons sound better as well, which we'll come on to in a later point. But in terms of how the weapons are, it's got to go to the Modern Warfare. As much as I do love the M1911 in Cold War and how much of a lethal weapon that is, it's not. Yeah, it's got to go to Modern Warfare on that one. Mechanics and movement. So this is stuff like doors being in multiplayer. This is stuff like vehicle usage. You know, stuff like sliding, drop shotting, and all that like. So yeah, a big note in mechanics would be C4, for example. You've got to wait till the C4 actually lands before you can detonate it. But you can throw it for miles though, much like you could the old C4 pre-patch Modern Warfare. So yeah, this could be a video of its own, which one I prefer. So I'll probably will make that a video of its own at some point. Because I don't know which one I prefer yet. I have to think about that. But yeah, you've also got stuff like grenades. So grenades take an absolute age to throw on Cold War. Don't know how I feel about that, but given the fact it's a more fast-paced game than Modern Warfare, and you've got more weapon downtime, so it feels like you throw your tactical grenades super duper quick. But in terms of the actual grenades themselves, they do take longer on Cold War, and I find that a little bit strange considering Cold War's trying to be a faster game. What I don't like about Cold War is that when you go to throw a grenade back in Modern Warfare, you just throw it straight away. But in Modern Warfare, you stick the grenade in your mouth, pull the pin and throw it again, and that feels a bit lazy. Now, I am going to give it credit because it is a beta, and hopefully that is fixed, but I am going to go on what I have seen, and that is not very refreshing. The mechanics as well. I do like how the drop shot mechanic has been removed, kind of. There's reasons why I don't like it as well. One of the reasons I don't like it is because it lowers the skill ceiling. So people can't drop shot. That's one less thing that good players can do over other players. And it seems that drop shotting seems to be a lot more prominent instead. So by kind of lowering the ceiling on one area, you've upped it in another area. There are attachments that you can use which make drop shotting viable, and that may be a way, and possible should I say, and that may be a way to go around it in the future. But until then, I don't know. I'm really torn on this one. I'm gonna probably give this one to Modern Warfare as well. Obviously because, you know, Modern Warfare does seem to integrate them a little bit better, the sliding, the drop shotting. I know people don't like them, and the jump shotting as well. I know people don't like them, but it is how better players become better players. And yeah, so that's just my view on that. The time to kill is so much longer on on Cold War. To be honest, I don't mind there being a longer time to kill, especially in multiplayer, because it does give you a little bit of time to react. And if skill-based matchmaking is always going to prioritize the connection, and by that I mean it outright lies to you and puts you in Norway when you're, say for example, in the US, then yeah, I'm going to doubt that. So to have a little bit more time to react against people who are on 27 millisecond ping when you're on 150 because you're skill-based matchmaking, it's good to have a little bit of reaction time to get yourself out of it. It doesn't feel as much of a twitch shooter. It feels like there's a bit more skill involved. So yeah, I'm actually going to give that the longer time to kill to Cold War, but I'm actually going to say that makes the game better for it. So yeah, that's how I stand on that particular gods. Next is going to be the Gunsmith. So obviously Cold War just basically copied and pasted it as was. But a big addition is your proximity mine is now a deployable, which I think is a really good change. This helps out with the camping meta a fair bit. And also you've got stuff like wildcards, which I do think are a nice addition. This means that this is where overkill is as well, basically. So this means if people want to be running around with 8 attachments on the gun, they've got to sacrifice their secondary. Might not be too bad if they've got a shotgun or a launcher in their pocket, but if they wanted 2 ARs or an AR and a submachine gun, they are going to have to sacrifice having loads of grenades, and they are going to have to sacrifice attachments for that, which I do think's good. But the Gunsmith obviously does have better attachments for the weapons in there for Modern Warfare. Also, you've got under barrels, you've got, you know, but the Gunsmith does tell you if what changes you're making to the weapon. For example, it gives you exact percentages, exact ranges, exact, you know exactly how much you're doing with the Gunsmith inside of Cold War. And because it stops you being ridiculously overpowered, I'm gonna go give it to Cold War. They've basically taken a mechanic which is really, really, really good in the game and made it just a little bit better. I would say there's not much in it, but like I said, I've already given the weapons to Modern Warfare based on more things you can do with the weapons in terms of attachments. But again, that was based on the age, the era, that was based on the era that the game was set in. I definitely think that overkill and other things are being better as used as wildcards. I think that makes the game much better. Next, we are going to go on to graphics and performance, and this hands down is a interesting one because the game runs so much faster, so much more reliably, crashes far less often on Cold War. And that is because Infinity Ward never seem to optimize games for PC. They say they do. Every single time you see in the patch notes, increased system stability and performance, you know that you're in for a few crashes until the next patch, because they've often cocked something up. You think I'm joking, I am not. It has become a bit of a meme on stream lately, so yeah, just bear that in mind. Graphics obviously do look better on Modern Warfare, but I don't think Cold War looks as bad as what we were initially expecting. I don't think it looks fantastic, don't get us wrong. So graphics I would definitely give to Modern Warfare, but actual performance and stability of the game, it's got to go to Cold War. Also, when I see it streaming on OBS, Well, just Modern Warfare seems to have issues with stability. Sometimes it doesn't like it. Sometimes it goes down to 30 frames per second. Sometimes, sometimes it doesn't save correctly. Whereas on Cold War, when I do all that stuff, it runs not a problem. I can even have the preview of OBS open on a different screen, and it doesn't hinder the performance. So performance has definitely got to go to Cold War. Next, we're going to talk about sound design. Everyone's footsteps don't sound like this when they're crawling. So because of that, straight away I'm giving the sound and footsteps to Cold War, because that is pretty much the most important thing. Yes, you can talk about how do the guns sound, which obviously Modern Warfare's do sound better, but the game really is all about the footsteps. And also, I also like playing a game, and when there's a notification, I don't like having to sacrifice one or the other, because I hate it when you're in Gulag and you're trying to actually listen out and all you hear is, if you kill him, you go back. If you're dead, then it's over. You must be brought back. And it's annoying when doing that when it's like 5 seconds into a Gulag, you're trying to sound where they are. Whereas in Cold War, it's a lot of a quieter announcer sound. The sound balance and the sound mixes just sound better. Footsteps are better. There's ways to where you can make your footsteps actually truly quiet. So there's ways you can actually buff them up as well. So I really do enjoy the footsteps. So sound goes to Cold War. Next up on the list is skill-based matchmaking. You know how I feel about this. It have definitely tightened it up on Cold War. Modern Warfare's was pretty bad, but Cold War's feels worse, like much worse. So I'm gonna actually say that the skill-based matchmaking in Modern Warfare is better. But let's not lie, boys. Skill-based matchmaking is awful, and the fact that both games have it is a reason not to play both games, in my opinion. So yeah, just bear that in mind. Next up on the list is going to be how do the games feel. Now, Modern Warfare feels a lot realer. It feels, like a much more realistic shooter. It feels, you feel the tension in battle a lot more when you're playing Modern Warfare, as opposed to Cold War, which, as we mentioned before, feels a lot more archaic. But, it feels like a traditional Black Ops game. But with that being said, I've got to say that Modern Warfare feels better. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a better game, but it feels better because it's a bit more consistent in what's going on. Also, there doesn't seem to be any weird lag compensation as well in Modern Warfare, which basically means what you're shooting at is the person who's actually there, instead of actually shooting at someone on Cold War and you die to a kill cam and it turns out that they're actually on the other side of the rock. You know what I mean? Bad crack. And finally, we're going to go on to maps. Maps I am going to give to Cold War based on the maps that I've played, but this is going to be an inconclusive one, so this isn't actually a real point it's going to get in. It's a provisional point, shall we say. So the maps at the moment, based on what I've seen, will be going to Cold War. Really enjoyed the maps. The open maps were fun. The free lane maps were fun. So I really enjoyed the maps. Now, don't get us wrong, they could be hiding a cheeky Piccadilly in there, which would be awful, and that would obviously affect the judgment. But based on the maps that we've played, it seems that they've given us the better maps. And it's a Treyarch game, which means we're probably going to be getting a Nuketown as well, which I can't wait for. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. And remember, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button. Helps us out massively. And consider being part of the A1A and hitting that subscribe button. But yes, let me know what you think in the comments below. Agree with me? Disagree with me? That's absolutely fine. Let me know. And until then, I will see you in the next video. Peace.